I gross over $1 million every single year because of Airbnbs like this one that I own. But down that journey, I made a ton of mistakes along the way that cost me money and added way more stress to my life than I needed. If you clicked on this video, you might have already started your Airbnb investing journey, or it might be something that you're thinking about. But these are 10 mistakes that I see every Airbnb investor make the first time they start, including myself, and we're not making those anymore in 2025 and beyond. Let's save your money and sanity and get into today's episode. Hey everyone, my name is Garrett Brown. I'm the host of Bigger Stays and the Bigger Pockets resident STR expert. I own and co-host over 10 different Airbnbs in 3 different markets, all while still working a full-time job. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, there's so many mistakes that Airbnb investors make from the beginning all the way through their hosting journey that can easily be corrected by watching through this video. If you like this type of content and you're curious about learning more, hit subscribe because we give out free content every single week on short-term rentals, Airbnb investing, and everything in between that you could want to know. Now, I'm not gonna waste much time into this video. I'm just gonna get into the nitty-gritty of what you want to know. The first major mistake that I see a ton of short-term rental investors make is they don't understand who their audience is that they're even trying to attract. You put a massive family-style house inside of an area that really is designated for couples retreats. If you put a very small cabin in an area that most families are traveling to, you're probably gonna have a hard time with your occupancy. If you're putting a massive family retreat inside of a small romantic getaway or a small little quaint rural town that not many families are traveling to, you're probably gonna be shooting yourself in the foot. The best way to know if you're actually gonna be profitable is to look into what market you're curious about and just go on Airbnb. See what some of the top ranked places are, see what the majority of places are, and then as you start to look at some of your competition and see what is actually performing well, you take that same type of information, go to something like Price Labs and research into that exact market of how much revenue you can actually get from a 1-bedroom compared to a 5-bedroom, and start to decide on what actually is gonna yield the best thing for you. This is gonna help you understand everything going forward much easier of how you should design the space, what type of pricing you should have, what type of amenities you should have, and who exactly you're going to market to. Figure out your guest avatar, and that is the first step after you've already kind of looked into what market you want. The next major mistake that I see a lot of short-term rental investors make is not setting up their operation for success. They're too busy sending out messages manually, checking on cleaners if they're coming manually, doing reports and, sending out the welcome book manually. 90% of your short-term rental operation should be automatic at this point. You need a great property management software like Logify that can automate all of these messages that you're really curious about. You need something like a walkthrough video of the property. In this property in particular, I've made a YouTube video, it's about 15 minutes long, where I literally walk through every part of this stay, showing them how to use the AC, how to use the TV, how to use the hot tub, all these things that a guest is going to ask. And if you send this to them prior to them even arriving, they're gonna feel so much more comfortable. It's gonna mitigate a ton of questions that you're getting. And it's also just gonna improve the guest experience and your experience as a host. Your pricing should be set. You shouldn't go in every single day and try to change your price here and there. Use Price Labs. They have the best dynamic pricing tool out there for about $20 a month per property. You're gonna boost your revenue by about 20%. Again, don't try to do everything manually. Let some of these softwares take over. Your cleaner, how are you gonna stay in touch with your cleaner? Do you send them a text message every time a booking comes through? No, use something like Turno that can connect into Logify. I call it my holy trinity of short-term rental automations, basically. Property management software, pricing, cleaning. These things can all be automated. Your cleaner, if you're on to Turno or something like that, they'll get an automatic, anytime a booking comes in, they'll get an automatic message asking if they want to accept it, when the check-in is, what checkout time, all those things like that. They can put their pictures inside of Turno and just send it over to you to know that it was taken care of properly. Another massive mistake I see a ton of short-term rental investors do, including myself, and I've had to learn over the years, is not staying on top of the maintenance for the big critical items inside of your structure. I'm talking changing your AC filters regularly, having quarterly, some people do biannual inspections. I recommend quarterly inspections, possibly on your HVAC units. If that goes out, you're gonna have to refund stays and have all this stress on you. Pay the $150, $200 to have your unit serviced and tuned up quite frequently to make sure you're doing it right. I have a tankless hot water heater in this unit. I'm on a water well out here in the middle of nowhere that gets sediment inside of it. We've put filters in, all these things. Just a week ago, the hot water stopped working. I had to refund a guest for some portion of their stay because I didn't stay on top of it enough with the flushing of the system and all these other small things. Sometimes when, even for an example of, I have to spend $600 to put a sediment filter inside of this unit with my plumber that's gonna help stop these issues. But that is going to save me thousands of dollars in headaches going forward from refunds and all these other things that happen with a bad guest experience when something big like the hot water goes out. Stay ahead of your systems, mark them clearly with pest control, landscaping, all these things, and have them as automated as possible or in calendar reminders for you to know when you need to reach out to a technician in that type of field to stay on top of it. I'd rather spend a little extra money to know my peace of mind is there than have something go wrong and then deal with that from the back end. The next one is not offering a forgot me basket. This is things like, we put some Rice Krispies in here. We have some popcorn in here. I'll even take y'all in the other room where we have, it's a little separated, but you can see we have makeup towels right here that are all black, so that way people can remove their makeups. But then we also have, we've split it out a little bit depending on how the build is. Move this back so you can see me. We have eye masks, earplugs. We have some makeup wipes. We have some toothbrush, toothpaste. Little things like this, because you don't have a concierge on site, are gonna make your guest so much more relieved when they can see these inside the unit and they don't have to figure out if they forgot it. We also have a first aid kit, shampoo, conditioners, body wash, there's some lotions. All those things that a guest might enjoy at a hotel, I try to put inside the units as well. I call it my in case you forgot basket. Now you can automate a lot of messages, and I talk about the walkthrough, your digital guidebook, but there are gonna be some things inside your properties that sometimes just need a level of extra touch and then maybe to explain to the guest how to use it. Outside by the hot tub, the sauna, we have little QR codes showing you how to use each thing in a very quick, simple video. You also can get these metal QR codes. This is our online guidebook. You can get these, guests can scan it, super easy. You can also set this up for your Wi-Fi and then even set them up for your social media as well while people are inside for your property. Scan this QR code, takes you to our social media pages, because direct bookings is really where the secret sauce is. The next few tips I'm gonna talk about are on the marketing side. One of the first red flags that I see for somebody is when they're only on one booking platform. Yes, Airbnb is the king right now, but that doesn't mean that Vrbo, Booking.com, HipCamp, Glamping Hub, Whimstay, all these other ones out there are chump change. Let me put this scenario out for you. You get something like Logify as a property management software, which can connect all these different booking platforms, channel managers and things into one place so you have one unified inbox. They also can help manage the calendar so you don't get double bookings. So let's say you have that set up and you only have your property on Airbnb. And let's say you're occupied for 70% of the year, which is great off of Airbnb. That's probably gonna be one of your main sources. But let's say you're in an area that also gets a few Vrbo bookings, one or two Booking.coms, one or two Whimstay bookings. And then we'll talk about direct bookings in a second as well too. That's an even more profound game changer. But let's just stick with these platforms for right now. If you can get 3 to 4 bookings just between these platforms every quarter, let's say, your occupancy may go up from 70% to 75 to 80%. And you're adding on an additional probably $5,000 to $10,000 in revenue, if not a little more or less. And these platforms are free to be on, all because you've synced it within your property management software. It is the same amount of work as dealing with just Airbnb. Now, there are nuances to each platform. And some of them I'm not as big of a fan of. Booking.com, cough, cough, Booking.com. There's still eyeballs out there on these platforms, and there's no reason to only be on one, in my opinion. Airbnb doesn't penalize you for being on multiple platforms, as some people actually think. They know that the best hosts and best properties are probably in quite a few places, and so they'll play nice with you now. I am so tired of people making social media pages for their property, and then they just post a couple photos here and there, their new booking photo, maybe a photo of them in front of it. I hate to break it to you, but as somebody that has gone viral many times online, the only way to truly make that happen is through video content. I have so many people all the time ask me, hey, Garrett, well, I can't get any direct bookings, or I'm not getting the, marketing to my Airbnb page. Like, can you look at my profile and see like what I'm doing wrong? I go to their social media page, Instagram, well, not really TikTok. Most people understand you got to do more videos on TikTok, but let's just talk with Instagram. I go on so many Instagram pages and it is nothing but photos. Please, no more photo posts. Maybe once a month you can have a photo post. That's it. That is the rule. After that, I need tons of video content Reels, all these different IG Reels, TikTok, all these things like that. The video content is where your chance of going viral actually happens. If you're not too sure about the video content side and what you can even do, and you're not a social media person, which I get, pay someone to get some vertical upright video footage. It can be phone footage or a professional camera. Get some drone footage as well, very, very crucial. And then work with someone off of Fiverr or Upwork or Instagram that you find to help make this content for you. They can edit it, post it. It's not as expensive as you think. It's gonna move slower at first, but if you're really trying to move away from some of these platforms, not be competing with all of the properties on Airbnb, then you have to get the eyeballs onto your direct booking site where there's not any other competition out there. When people are scrolling on Airbnb, they're looking at price, they're looking at all your competitors. You don't have the focus that you really need from them. If you're on your direct booking site, or they just go directly to your Airbnb listing because you've marketed well and you're able to send them that way, then you are your only competitor at that point. And then from there, you can figure out the whole guest experience from front to end of why they booked with you or why exactly they didn't, if you can stay in touch with them. Another major thing I see short-term rental hosts do that I personally do not recommend is they buy a property for the first time and they immediately hire a property manager or a co-host. And if you got a screaming deal and you have absolutely no time at all, then maybe that is a good option. But if you've never hosted or managed an Airbnb before, I highly, highly recommend that you manage your first 1 or 2 units by yourself with a good cleaner, a good handyman, and all the automation tools I was talking about earlier. You're gonna be shocked at actually how easy it is when you have these automations set up to deal with guests and all these things. But there's gonna be some nuances that come up that only you will be able to solve, and you'll learn about your property, common issues that you need to fix, how to handle guests, how to resolve issues properly, all these things that you aren't really aware of that you need to learn, because if you hire a property manager or co-host and you don't know what exactly it takes to be a good host, how are you going to know if they're even worth what you're paying them? You're probably going to be shocked at actually how little work it is when you have these automations set up, especially if you're giving away 20, 25%, 30% away from your revenue just to have somebody do the same thing you were doing. You could pay your cleaner and handy person really well and still save a ton of money than paying some type of co-host or property manager. That's not for everybody. Some people are super busy and just want it as, a completely hands-off thing, which I hate to inform you of this, even with a co-host, you're never going to be completely hands-off because there's still going to be things that break and that is your responsibility to make a decision on. But I just know that hosts will benefit so much more when they understand the basics of hosting, and then when they move on to hire somebody to actually save more time and scale in other opportunities, that is when you're going to know if they're truly a rock star or just somebody that happened to pay for a mastermind course and really has never even had a property themselves. Last few I'm just going to rattle off because they're all kind of small, but they play a big reason into why you actually can get seen in your Airbnb algorithm or even on your own direct booking site. You need to make sure that your minimum nights actually matches to what the area calls for. You with 3 and 4 day minimum stays, there's probably 99% of the markets out there that do not support a 3 or 4 day minimum. There's a couple out there, and if all your competition is doing it and you've been successful with it, kudos, have at it. But for the vast majority of people out there, anything over a 2-night minimum is going to have you buried in the Airbnb algorithm. The main reason is people travel on weekends predominantly. Friday through Sunday is when they are looking on Airbnb and other platforms to see what's available. And if you have a 3-night minimum, that Friday through Sunday booking isn't even going to show up to people to make it an option. I have some people that say, oh, well, I have a 3-night booking because I need to make enough money to counteract the cleaning fee and all these other things. Just raise your prices on the 2-night. Incentivize them to book that 3rd night with a really cheap rate there, because at least you have eyeballs on it. If you're not even in the conversation, they're not even gonna make you an option. Using Price Labs, you can set rules for length of stay discounts and all these kind of really cool things that can get you nuanced of it, where you can almost make as much money with a 2-night stay as you could with a 3-night stay. And I'd rather have people in my place for 2 nights if I'm making the same amount. And one of the last ones, and this is not for everybody, but I think it should be almost at most properties, you can debate me on this if you want, but that is being pet friendly. This is one of the most searched filters on Airbnb, and most travelers, I can't remember the exact percentage, but I want to say it's about 60% of people want to travel with their pet. Most people think, oh, pets are going to damage my place and all these things like that. I've been in the Airbnb game for 5 or 6 years now, and I have never had an animal damage my property enough that I couldn't even get it resolved with Airbnb or my security deposit that I take as a direct booking platform. Most of the time when damage has happened, it's actually been kids or teenagers. Not saying anything, just throwing that out there. So with being pet friendly, you're gonna show up in way more searches, and you also can charge a pet fee per pet, per stay, per pet per night. I know some people that do that. I've charged from $39 per pet per stay with up to a 2 maximum, 50-pound dogs, tell them to stay off the furniture, all these things which, provide dog beds and dog, bowls and things in your unit, and it will make it more pet friendly. But these pet fees can add up. I have a friend that's made $100,000 in a year just off of pet fees alone. I know some people that charge $100 per pet per night. They can rack up $500, $600, $700 if a few nights stay with 2 dogs inside of it on top of what they've already made. And most of the time, you just have to pay your cleaners a little extra laundry, and the rest of it is just profit in your pocket. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of this, I definitely highly respect it, and I hope you've already subscribed to the channel. I rambled on some of these, I'm sure, but these were just things that I've seen so many hosts do incorrectly that I wanted to speak on it and make sure that you aren't doing the same thing so that we can make your short-term rental a long-term success. My name is Garrett with Bigger Stays. I'll see y'all next time, and I appreciate y'all for watching. I think YouTube wants you to watch one of these videos right here.